Namaste, Sakshi, Manasakshi. I am Priya Goteti. Welcome to Immigration Talk Show with Dr. Srinivas Kaveti Garu from Kaveti Law Firms. Please note that Sakshi TV now has 5 immigration shows: Monday with Somi Reddy Law Firms, Tuesday with Kaveti Law Firms, Wednesday with Prashanti Reddy, Thursday with Chand Parvataneni, and Friday with Banu Ilendar. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join our shows, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call us at 866-725-7441. Before we begin the show, please note that this information is only for general purpose only. Sakshi TV or its agents are not responsible for the use of this information. If you need any specific legal advice, please contact the attorney directly, Mr. Srinivas Kaveti Garu from Kaveti Law Firms. So without any further delay, please welcome our లాయర్ అటార్నీ. ఆయన చాలా ఫేమస్ అండి. ఆయన నేను చాలాసార్లు మన షోస్ కి ఇన్వైట్ చేశాను కూడా. చాలా సుపరిచితులే మనందరికీ కూడా. అంతర్జాతీయ ప్రముఖ న్యాయవాది కవేటి గారు. ఐఎమ్ రియల్లీ హ్యాపీ అండి మీ మా షోకి రావడం. ప్లీజ్ వెల్కమ్ సార్.
Thank you. Thanks to have me, Amma. Thank you.
Today our topic is asylum for students, H1B visas, visitor visas, B1 visas, students and everyone. So today our topic is about asylum. So, Kaveti Garu, can a student file an asylum?
Yes, they can file asylum, Amma. First of all, we need to understand what is an asylum. Asylum ante manaku when we have pranabhayam, when you want to go back to your country, until you have a fear of persecution by the government. Ante a lot of times when people are in certain religions or certain political groups, or certain moments alone. For example, if you see this was just a history. If you see in Kashmir, when Indira Gandhi was assassinated by Sardars, right? He was a policeman. So a lot of Indians attacked Sardars after Indira Gandhi's assassination. So a lot of these Sardars, they left the country. They went to different parts of the world and they took asylum. They went to Canada, they went to America, they went to Australia, many countries. Because by merely you being a Sardar, even if you're a truck driver, people used to kill them. There is a fear of persecution when you go back. You can apply for an asylum. That's number one. Number two, Konisalu, for example, if you see in India, last few years ago, if you're a lesbian or a gay, they were killed actually. And India law, the Indian Penal Code said, hey, this is an unnatural offense. If you're going with a man to man or a woman to woman, if you go back, there's a fear of persecution. So they said, no, I cannot go back because I'm practicing lesbianism or gay. Alantapudu, they gave political asylum for people because of your belief that of your sexual orientation, and sometimes of race as well. If you see, let's say now, Bangladesh, there are Hindus in Bangladesh, and what these Muslims are doing, they're damaging the temples, and they're killing, Hindu girls and committing rape, atla. So if you're coming from that sect based on your religion, so race, nationality, and stuff like that, Alantapudu, they are giving political asylum. If you see in Hindus also in Pakistan, there are a lot of torture. And because there's a torture convention, they're saying, okay, if you're a merely Hindu from Pakistan, you can come out and say that you can apply for an asylum. Atla. So people get asylum based on race, religion, and your movement, where you believe political. For example, if you're an Naxalite movement in India. So if they go out of the country, if they're ex-Naxalites, if they come out, and they can apply for asylum. Atla. So there are different categories. Yes, if you're a student when you come to America, and if you're within 1 year of living in America, even though you're a student, if you have any problems of that back home for your family and you, yes, you can apply for political asylum. So that is a brief answer.
So for students, we can file for asylum. Can H1B holders also file for asylum?
Yes, absolutely yes. The law says you can be on any non-immigrant visa, or even if you can be on a student visa, you can apply for asylum, even H1B guys. But the law says the condition is it has to be within 1 year. You cannot stay for a few years and say, hey, I want to apply for an asylum. The law says you have to apply within 6 months to 1 year. Lopala. That is a time frame. Yes, you can apply, but the burden of proof is on you that if you go back, you will be persecuted or you will be killed by some movement at some groups.
So
If you're belonging to certain group, yeah.
got it. So students, H1B holders, visitors, everybody can file for asylum. The dependents also, right? They can
They can
also.
also.
Okay.
Yes,
Everyone can file, but it should be within 1 year when they enter the US. Okay.
correct.
So, Kavitikar, like how many different types of asylums would be there?
See, there are different types and people. For example, as I said to you earlier, for example, if you see now recent times, there are so many Indians are crossing the border from Canada to America, and these are children. And during the time of even Trump time, and now Biden time, a lot of people are crossing the border from Mexico and Canada. ఇప్పుడు there are a lot of Indian students are also crossing from Canada. So when somebody is crossing from Canada into the country unlawfully, and somebody is coming from Mexico and crossing the borders, coming from the land or crossing the rivers also, there you can file political asylum too. Ante, there are two types. Somebody who has a fear, if they come into the country, before they enter into the country also, this is called, there are three types. One is called affirmative asylum, second is called defensive asylum. And these people merged also, they can file asylum at the port of entry, Akkada Rak, local Cochinapur, even for the kids and everybody. And if you see now, a lot of Gujaratis are coming. This time, a lot of South Indians and Telugu people are coming. And even students from Canada, they're also coming. So they are getting asylum akkada. And affirmative and defensive asylum antaru. What does that mean? For example, you have not entered into the country, you applied for an asylum there. Okati. Secondly, for example, if you see now, Ukraine lo war avutundi. For example, Russians are doing this. A lot of Ukrainians are crossing the border, going to the adjacent countries. So they are also applying for asylum. Sometimes, for example, if you see Palestinians or Israelis, whatever, they go to asylum camps. United Nations have asylum camps. Akkada poyi, you can stay there and you can also apply for asylum. They have not even come into the country. Many countries, they accept them. So that's one type of applying for asylum. Two, somebody comes into the country, they stay in the country, and after 6 months, their circumstances change back home. For example, for your family back home, and when you go back, the police have filed cases on you, that's saying that you belong to a particular group. Appudu kuda you can apply for an affirmative asylum coming into the country. Sometimes you file an application, your application gets denied. Then also they will send you back before the judge. You can also file an asylum called defensive. So you say, hey, the immigration officer was not satisfied. I want to prove it with the immigration judge. You can also file an asylum. So there are different types of asylum. Again, going back in this 15-20 minutes of our episode talk show, we will not be able to cover a lot of under nitty-gritties of it, under torture against convention. For example, if you see now, let's take an example of Ukraine itself. Let's take the example of Afghanistan. Akkada ippudu Taliban is there. So people are running away from that. Aadapillalu, women are running away. Hindus are running away from that country. That is a country now, there's a torture now. If you're not a Muslim, if you don't go with hijab, you don't follow the Islamic traditions, Sharia traditions. So because there is a torture there, so there are certain conventions. The United Nations says that there are certain countries you're coming from that particular country, they will give it. Atla. And for example, if you see Africa, some countries, akada women are also tortured. I mean, these things I don't want to discuss. Akkada kuda వాళ్ళకి female genital castrication చేస్తారు. అంటే it's a worse way of humanitarian crisis అక్కడ ఆఫ్రికాలో కొన్ని కంట్రీస్, because you come from certain political, because these are all dictators కనుక, and certain families get tortured, వాళ్లకు ఇచ్చేస్తారు ఇక్కడ, because you're from that particular torture conventions countries కనుక. So there are different categories where you can apply, and you have to show, but burden is on you that if you go back you will be tortured to death అని. అందుకని it's a very high risk and the onus is on you. Once you make an application, stage ఏంటంటే the immigration officer does a credible fear interview immediately. And the officer looks at your application and say, hey, is it a real bona fide, or you're just making an application to stay in the country to get a green card? So officer determined, that's called credible fear interview. Once you clears that, then you're declared as an asylee. Appudu you can also bring your wife and children subsequently.
Okay.
That's one beauty. Two, if the officer is not convinced, he will deny the application. Once you are denied, appudu bad phase, they will put you on a removal or a deportation. Appudu then the officer doesn't have a power to kick you out of the country. They will send you before the judge. So now you're in a removal proceedings or a deportation proceedings. They want to remove you from the country. It's now it is an immigration litigation. You go before the judge, and you can also make an application with the judge also if you can prove your case. And the evidences are, you have to show that the country situations are not good. You have to show that you have some police cases registered as against you. Your property has been damaged back home, or you had some episodes in the past, medical records. There are a whole heap of things. And normally, when a person is making an asylum application, he has to prove his case beyond on a preponderance of evidence antaru, evidence law. So the burden is on you. So what I suggest is, anybody is watching, because my firm ku chala calls vastayi students who H1B, oh 3-4 సంవత్సరాలతో, oh can I file an asylum? The application is no. You have to do within 1 year time, and case to case basis. For example, you're coming from Telangana or Andhra, there are no problems in the country. So how can you make an application? ఎందుకంటే country situation కూడా చూస్తారు immigration, because there is a report by the foreign affairs ikkada department of state antaru. They have reports which country is troubled country, which is not. For example, you're coming from Palestine, ఆ ఏరియా నుంచి వచ్చారనుకోండి, of course the women and men and people have problems there. So because of the continuous war now, and as I said, some countries like Afghanistan, and Mona, there was some disturbance in Sri Lanka as well, heavy political unrest. Konisalu, you can also get asylum through some humanitarian grounds kuda istar. For example, there are some tsunamis and things like that. So the country decides, and the immigration decides, and the Department of State will decide. Based on that, you can apply.
So Kaveti garu, నాకు తెలిసినంత మీకు చెప్పినట్టు, ఇండియా ఇస్ అ సెక్యులర్ స్టేట్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ లైక్ భయంకరమైన సిచ్యువేషన్స్ బ్యాక్ ఇన్ ఇండియా జరుగుతున్నట్లు లేవు. సో మన ఇండియన్స్, ఆర్ దే రియల్లీ ఎలిజిబుల్ ఫర్ దిస్ అసైలమ్స్?
అందుకే మీకు చెప్పినట్టుగా కేస్ టు కేస్ బేసిస్, ఇట్స్ నాట్ దట్ ఈజీ. యూ హ్యావ్ టు ప్రూవ్. ఇప్పుడు సమ్టైమ్స్ సమ్ ఫ్యామిలీస్, కమ్యూనిస్ట్ పీపుల్ ఉంటారు, మావోయిస్టులు, అండ్ దే ఆర్ రెడ్ ఫ్లాగ్. ఇప్పుడు సిపిఐ, సిపిఎంఎల్, when their political families are fighting. For example, if you see Naxalwadi, వాళ్ళు activities లో ఉంటారు, and their professors are there, doctors are there, but they come out of the system. For example, వాళ్ళు బయటకు వచ్చారు అనుకోండి, and definitely if they go back, they will be prosecuted కదా, కేసులు ఉంటాయి వాళ్ళ మీద. In such circumstances, case to case, you have to prove. You
Okay.
cannot prove. మదర్ కాల్ చేసి చాలా సార్లు ఓ మేము ఇంటికి పోతే మా అత్తగారు వాళ్ళు మా మామగారు వాళ్ళు చంపేస్తారు మా హస్బెండ్ తరఫున అని క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతారు ఈ ఆడవాళ్ళు. I said,
Yeah.
no, 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 you can't get things like that. Oh, we get calls. Oh, I'm from Jagan party. I'm from Andhra. If I go back because now it is Telugu Desam party, can I apply? No, 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 you can't get things like that because we have a rule of law, Mandekara. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Atla, you cannot say that, oh, I'm from TRS party. Now the Congress party is in power. I might be prosecuted. Ilanti lame reasons, Tony, you cannot get it.
Yeah, really, which is dangerous, genuine reasons
Genuine.
ఉంటే we can apply it.
Mm,
Got it. So
absolutely.
already ఈ asylum file చేసే వాళ్ళకి they will be tortured or they are already facing troubles, problems in their country. So వాళ్ళు ఫైల్ చేయాలంటే what would be the fees? Like ఎంత కాస్ట్ పడుతుంది? అటార్నీ అని
Yeah.
దొరుకుతారా?
Brilliant. Actually, a lot of people don't know this, and I want your viewers to understand there is no filing fees actually. Political asylum. Zero.
Wow.
You just have to fill up a form, send the pictures, and that's it. Mail it to the government. There is no fees at all. Kani, most of the attorneys, most of these agents, so touts untar, immigration touts, they charge $8,000 to $10,000. Just filling up a form, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And the political asylum file throughout after 180 days, you can apply for a work authorization. And zero fees, no fees for that too. అది కూడా వాట్ పీపుల్ ది స్టౌట్స్ అండ్ లాయర్స్ ఏం చేస్తారు పేస్ 4,000 5,000 అని అండ్ మెనీ ఆఫ్ ద గుజరాతీస్ అండ్ పంజాబీస్ దే ఫాల్ ఇన్ దట్ ట్రాప్ అండ్ ఈవెన్ తెలుగు పీపుల్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో ఫాలోయింగ్ ఇన్ దట్ ట్రాప్ అండ్ దే పే మనీ అండ్ దీస్ లాయర్స్ ఏం చేస్తారు దే డోంట్ సైన్ దోస్ ఫార్మ్స్ దే జస్ట్ ఫిల్ అప్ ద ఫార్మ్స్ అండ్ మెయిల్ ఇట్ వీళ్ళ క్లయింట్స్కు తెలియదు అది దే థింక్ ఓ ఐఎమ్ రిప్రజెంటెడ్ బై అన్ అటర్నీ బట్ దే హ్యావ్ నాట్ బీన్ రిప్రజెంటెడ్ బై అటర్నీ or even immigration form fill up చేసేవాళ్ళు కూడా ఉంటారు అమెరికా మొత్తంలో. These are Spanish people, African people, some Telugu people, Gujarati people. They just fill up forms, but they don't put their name in that. It's free, zero. వీళ్ళన్నిటికి కూడా $7,000 to $8,000 people are charging. అంటే people are getting tricked.
Yes.
We get a lot of those calls. మేము చెప్తాము there's no fees, you can fill up on your own, but story మీరే రాసుకోవాలి. They say, oh, can you write the story? Lawyers cannot write the story for them. ఎందుకంటే గతంలో if you see a lot of lawyers been imprisoned, went to jail because they wrote the story. You cannot write the story. The client has to write the story, and the lawyer can only assist in filling up the forms. But we cannot cook up the story. Lawyers cannot cook up the story. Cheste, in the past, a lot of lawyers went to jail, a lot of agents went to jail, a lot of this immigration form fillers went to jail. It's a serious thing, Andy. So one has to be careful. You cannot do frivolous applications because lying on oath to the sovereign is a felony. Jailu potaru. So one has to understand, oh, నాకు తెలియదండి, I just filled up the form because somebody has filled up the form. I am not familiar with English. No excuse. You have to read and understand the form and then sign it.
So Kavitika, మీరు చెప్పినట్టు if somebody is illiterate, they're not educated, they don't know how to write, then who can fill the form for them?
Well, there are some agencies in America, Miku, they translate it. They have to attest saying that I've translated this into Telugu or Hindi, and they have to attest it. అంటే లీగల్ ట్రాన్స్లేటర్స్ ఉన్నారు, లేకపోతే మనకు ట్రాన్స్లేటర్స్ అఫీషియల్గా దొరకకపోతే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనకు తెలిసిన వాళ్ళు ఎవరైనా ఉంటే, when they fill up the form, they have to attest it on the bottom that they have used the interpreters or translators, and they have an obligation on it.
Okay, so ఇప్పుడు అసైలం ఫైల్ చేశాక గ్రీన్ కార్డ్ ఎంత ఫాస్ట్ గా వస్తుంది, or what is the process of getting a green card?
Yeah, but ఇప్పుడు ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో there's a lot of pending cases for many years. మన లాస్ట్ వీక్ we had a client, she's a Pakistani, ఎవరో ఫామ్ ఫిల్అప్ చేశారంట, వాడు అన్ని కాలమ్స్తో తప్పు కొట్టాడు. ఆమె 9 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి ఉంది and she's not getting anything. I just looked at the form. She went to some top lawyers. నేను అన్నాను, ఈ ఫామే తప్పు ఫిల్అప్ చేశారు కదా, మా అన్ని సంతకాలు అన్ని టిక్కులు కొట్టాడు, మరి మీరు చదువుకోలేదు అంటే, ఓ నేను బిఏ చదువుకున్నాను సార్ అని. మరి వై డెంట్ యూ రీడ్ ద ఫామ్ అంటే, ఓ ఇన్ నర్వస్నెస్ ఐ సైన్డ్, బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్లాఫుల్. But 9 years nunchi it is not even moving. Appudu ela vastadi? The application gets denied, and the application will not move anywhere. So it takes 8 to 10 years, 9 years sometimes. And if you do things properly, and Ipudu, they're taking 7 to 8 years, 9 years, sometimes 10 years also. But every 6 months, 1 year, renewal out the work authorization. For example, if there is any urgency, they can also travel and come back, advance payroll esconi, but they cannot go to their own home country.
Okay.
That is the problem. And once you make a political asylum, they will report to your home country. Me passport good valid undadi. You cannot go in the future. Chalamandi, our students and H1B guys, some visitors, they come and file, and the US immigration informs to the Indian authorities saying that this guy has filed an application on you and against India, gada. So those passports will be invalidated. They cannot even travel.
Okay. So, what are the risks for this asylum getting denied?
Once your application gets denied, you will be arrested and you will be put in deportation. Immigration judge mundu mimmalni pampistaru, and the judge wants to remove you forcefully. And sometimes you can make some applications ఒకవేళ change in circumstances పెళ్ళైంది అనుకోండి. For example, you've been in the country for 10 years and you have a child in America, 10 years ఉంటున్నారు. If you married a US citizen, then you can ask the court to change in circumstances. You can ask for stopping that removal proceedings. లేకపోతే change in circumstance ఎప్పుడు అవుతా ఉంటాయి. They can file for motion for withholding పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. It's all immigration litigation, but the risk is they will remove you from the country. And if the judge passes an order, the police can even arrest you, or immigration can also arrest you. That is the risk.
సో కవిటి గారు ఇందాక మీరు చెప్పారు కదా ఇప్పుడు హోమ్ కంట్రీకి ఇన్ఫార్మ్ చేస్తారు ఒకసారి అసైలం ఫైల్ చేశాక అని. ఇక్కడ అసైలం కనుక డినై అయితే ప్రాబ్లీ దే విల్ బి రిపోర్టెడ్ ఆర్ అరెస్టెడ్ ఆర్ డిపోర్ట్ అయ్యారనుకోండి, హోమ్ కంట్రీకి ఆల్రెడీ దే ఫైల్డ్ అగైనెస్ట్ ద హోమ్ కంట్రీ. ఆర్ దే ఎలిజిబుల్ టు గో బ్యాక్ టు దేర్ హోమ్ కంట్రీ?
You will be forced to go back because the consulate will have to take you back because you're an Indian citizen or wherever the citizen you come from. So you're forced to take back the person. The problem ఏమవుతుందంటే once you're deported, you're also arrested in your home country. And because deportation is an international crime. And third, your passport will be revoked. Ante next time you cannot get a passport also. Once your passport is revoked and cancelled, you cannot travel to any other foreign country. And unfortunately, Indian police can also charge you for deportation because it's an international crime. అంటే మీరు దేశద్రోహి కింద పరిగణించబడుతుంది. So they don't allow you to go to any other country because it's a stigma on the country. So it's a very serious thing, and people don't understand these things. ఎందుకంటే they see, oh, this is the easiest way we can apply. We get work authorization, we get social security number. I can buy a car, I can become a taxi driver, I can do some business అని చేస్తారు. But unfortunately, they are waiting here for 8 to 10 years, 12, 13 years also. They cannot go back to their home country. They cannot travel. Every year you're just renewing your work authorization. మీ గ్రీన్ కార్డు రాదు, సిటిజన్షిప్ రాదు, ఏమీ రాదు. You can't even visit your family cannot visit you. So these are the pitfalls in that. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే when the immigration comes to know that you made a frivolous application because you lied on oath, you could be in trouble. So one has to see all of that balance of convenience. Susi, they have to go to the competent attorneys. Immigration law, it is not like filing an H1B or an F1 or a B1, B2 or a marriage petition, because asylum attorneys specialties ఉంటారు చేసేవాళ్ళు. They have to go and speak to them. They have to speak to them honestly. Then the attorneys will tell them whether they are qualified or not. అదొకటి. రెండోది, and you have to come up with all the evidences like paper cuttings, FIR paperlu, medical records, and you have to bring pictures, photographs, and all the evidences you have to bring from back home. తెచ్చుకోవాలి మీరు, because the burden is on you to prove the government that you have a threat. ఏదో అప్లికేషన్ ఫామ్ నింపేసి ఫోటోలు పెట్టి పంపడం కాదు, because burden is on you, because the lawyer can only assist you whether this is a good evidence or a bad evidence, but it is for you to bring. చాలాసార్లు ఏం అడుగుతారంటే క్లయింట్స్ కూడా మాకు కాల్ చేసి, సార్ మీరు చేసిస్తారా అవన్నీ కాగితాలు? We don't do it, no lawyer does it. If anybody does it, their lawyers will go to jail. అందుకని ఇట్ ఈస్ లైక్ ప్లేయింగ్ విత్ అ ఫైర్. ఇప్పుడు జెన్యున్గా బోనఫైడ్ ఉంటే ఫైల్ చేసుకోవాలి, తీసుకోవాలి. అండ్ ద బ్యూటీ ఈజ్ ఇఫ్ ద one of the person family member gets asylum status, he can bring his wife and children, or even she can bring her husband and children also. వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా గ్రీన్ కార్డ్ ఇస్తారు within couple of years. So that is a beauty if it is a bona fide application. So that means one has to be careful, and two, they have to file within 1 year, and three, it has to be bona fide. Case to case is different. చాలాసార్లు మా దగ్గరకు వచ్చేసి, ఓ సార్ మా ఫ్రెండ్ అప్లై చేశాడు, ఆయనకు అప్రూవ్ అయింది, నాకు ఎందుకు కాదు, నాకు కూడా అవుతుంది అంట. నో, దట్స్ నాట్ ద సేమ్ థింగ్. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎ క్యాన్సర్, యూ గో టు అ డాక్టర్, 2 patients, one becomes okay, one dies. ఇప్పుడు it applies కదా, same, the doctor gives the same medication, but here it is a case to case basis. ఇప్పుడు sometimes political asylum file చేస్తారు, they get married to a US citizen and they have children. 10 years later, that asylum application comes on before the judge. Change in circumstances, because wife is a citizen, children are citizen, under that category they get a green card. Atla. So there are so many things, Andy. It's a complex process. They have to contact the local competent immigration specialized attorneys to get some advices. And మీరు అన్నట్టుగా, this is not a legal advice, only for information purposes we are talking. And they have to be careful. And yes, it's doable, but they don't have to spend $8,000, $10,000, $15,000. నేను వింటాను చాలా మంది $15,000-$20,000 కూడా ఖర్చు పెట్టుకున్న సంఘటనలు ఉన్నాయి. So it doesn't cost that much money.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kaveti garu. So viewers, this is the episode on asylum. So we can apply, students can apply, H1BS can apply, B1 visas, everybody can apply for asylum, but be careful, be aware of it. The asylum fees is zero. You won't be charged for anything, but it has to be very genuine. Don't play with it. Don't think that if I file asylum, I'll get the green cards easily. సో మీకు నిజంగా జెన్యూన్ కాజ్ కేసు ఉంటే మాత్రం అసైలం ఫైల్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ కవేటి గారు, అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ప్రియా గోటేటి సైనింగ్ ఆఫ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.